Chicago just saw its deadliest September in 25 years. How many times have the Obamas gone back to Chicago to speak out against this horrific rise in murders? Michelle's appeal is much like Joe's, lacking in any real details about how Democrats would make your life better. They had 8 years to do it, while washing their hands, of course, all their failures from their time in the White House. Joining me now for a reaction, Dinesh D'Souza, whose new film, Trump Card, is available on demand this Friday, and Cynthia Garrett, founder of Cynthia Garrett Ministries and author of I Choose Victory. Dinesh, this was classic Michelle, pure grievance, and underneath it all, a lot of vitriol.
Yes, I think that Michelle, with this kind of customary Obama duplicity, divides the protests into two categories. There are the peaceful protests, and then presumably the violent protests where people get hurt or killed. And she goes, well, the violent protests are a small minority of all the overall protests. Now, she very cleverly leaves out a third category of protests, which probably represents a majority of the protests. And these are the protests of intimidation, of knocking down statues, of defacing property, of accosting people in front of their homes, of disrupting restaurants, of going to birthday parties and overturning the tables, of stopping traffic and pulling people out of their cars. So there's a pattern here with Antifa, with Black Lives Matter, of a culture of intimidation. And this is the norm at the protests. This is not some outlying exception, but by dividing protests into just peaceful and violent, Michelle camouflages the fact that she and Obama are sort of the authors of this Alinskyite strategy of the intimidation of the street. It really goes back to something Goebbels said a generation ago: who controls the street controls the nation. And this has been the Alinskyite doctrine that the Obamas have lived by.
Here's more from Michelle Obama's message.
As a black woman, the knowledge that any of my fellow Americans is more afraid of me than the chaos we are living through right now, well, that hurts. Racism, fear, division. These are powerful weapons, and they can destroy this nation if we don't deal with them head on.
Cynthia, as a black woman yourself, what about her message there?
I mean, I got to tell you, Laura, I'm joining you tonight from Tennessee. And over the weekend, a beautiful black woman walked up to me. She was married to a white man, and they had a mixed daughter. And she came up to me and she said, I just want to say thank you. She said, I want to say thank you because you're daring to be bold enough to risk probably very close friends of yours liking you by speaking the truth. There are a lot of us black women who listened to Michelle's words and were disappointed. We're disappointed because right now this country needs leadership that unifies, that heals. She's saying that Trump is a divisive, thing in this country, yet she's using division to attack him. The hypocrisy of it all is overwhelming, and the lack of wisdom is really just shocking to me because she knows better, because she knows what it takes to lead, and she's choosing not to lead, but to pander to fear. They're using racism. Race is the easiest way to control a people and a nation. Yeah, you get them on the streets, you get them fighting, and you control them. And for what? For greed and power. And the Democratic Party, I am sorry, that I once was a part of, has done nothing since the day that they lost this election but divide and twist and manipulate. And I, for one, am not going to sit by and not say the truth about it. It's horrible.
Dinesh, I also find it odd that Michelle doesn't have issues with Joe Biden making comments like this.
The reason I was able to stay sequestered in my home is because some black woman was able to stack the grocery shelf.
Dinesh, this was just brought to the media's attention yesterday. I mean, if Trump said something like that, it would lead every evening newscast quickly.
And yet it's so habitual of the Democrats to harbor these views which keep slipping out in public. Look, their strategy is division. It's race division, black against white. It's gender division, male against female. It's transgender division, gay against straight. It's legal against illegal. It's very obvious that they're trying to create a Democratic majority by cobbling together a coalition of aggrieved victim groups. That's their electoral strategy.
Cynthia and Dinesh, we could have an hour with you. I wish we did. Thank you so much for being here tonight.